sir.
Madam, I think we can start. Meanwhile, sir will join with us.
Hey,
VC sir will be joined with us.
నవీన్ ఆల్రెడీ సార్ ఉన్నారు, కనిపిస్తున్నానని అడుగుతున్నారు చూడు సార్.
Raise hand. Ask sir to raise his hand, madam.
Sir, then please raise your hand.
VC
I
sir.
think you have came as a participant. Sir, please raise your hand. అక్కడ hand raising symbol will be there. Please raise your hand. Naveen, just you see, sir is there with us. He is seeing us. Naveen.
Hello.
Yeah.
You are calling how?
Naveen.
Yes, madam.
Sir is there. VC sir is there with us. Just you see, maybe he came in participant. Sir, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand, sir. Yeah. Sir, have you raised your hand? Okay, sir. Okay. Naveen, please ask. Yes, sir. I will see now. Naveen.
Yes, madam.
Sir already raised the hand. Just go and see.
No, madam, I didn't get any hand raises from participants.
Sir, are you watching us?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for following us, sir. We have some small technical problem. We'll rectify this.
Hey, Naveen.
Take your
time. Naveen. Sir is there. Sir is watching us. He can able to see us. Sir.
Madam, please find the username of the name what the sir have.
Name what? Name sir, Raju sir, like that. It is going to come, sir.
Roop Krishan Khar. You are asking my name?
No, sir. We have
Ramalinga Raju. Ramalinga Raju. No, he's not there.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir didn't came with his own name.
Raju. Kadu. Sorry, sir. Naveen.
Yes, madam.
Naveen. Sir is there. అంటే సార్ ఒక్కసారి చెప్పరా కొంచెం. సార్ కాదు సార్, దానికి మెయిల్ పెట్టమంటారా? అంటే ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ఉన్నారా ఇందులో? రాజు ఓ సార్, అంటే మెయిల్ నుంచే వచ్చారా? మేము పంపించిన మెయిల్ నుంచి. ఏ నవీన్, మెయిల్ నుంచే వచ్చారు సార్, చూడు. సార్ ఈజ్ ఏబుల్ టు సీ అస్. నవీన్. Hello.
Madam, sir didn't came, madam, actually.
Sir is watching us. Sir కి మేము కనబడుతున్నాం అంట, మన అందరూ ఉన్నాం అని కనబడుతున్నారు.
Madam, ask sir to message us.
Send
a message.
You can message or chat sir something.
That I am not getting, madam. Message.
ఇవేవి రావట్లేదంట నవీన్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ వర్క్, అంటే ఇట్స్ నాట్ కమింగ్. ఏవి రావట్లేదు. హ్యాండ్ రైజ్ చేయడానికి కూడా ఆప్షన్ లేదంటున్నారు చూడు సార్.
Madam, there is an option for hand raising, madam.
అక్కడ రావట్లేదు.
Where it is exactly?
సార్ హ్యాండ్ రైజింగ్
Sir, you can click your screen.
Where it is exactly?
Yeah, sir, you can click your screen, sir. There at the end you can see a hand shaped symbol will be there.
In screen there is an symbol hand raise.
Hand raise symbol
you need to click that.
There is. अच्छा वो करना है.
No, bottom of the sir, have you opened in laptop, otherwise mobile? Sir,
please all the remaining participants, please don't raise your hands.
Sir, please click, please raise your hand, then click that one.
I have clicked.
Okay. Have you done that, sir? Okay.
I have done.
Naveen, you see, sir has raised the hand. Yeah.
Lower है my hand. It is
yeah.
lower.
Sir, VC home an undi sir.
Yes,
sir.
That is VC home.
Yeah. You promote him in panelist, amma. Please do it fast.
I see. So it is now
Okay,
lower
okay,
hands. No, it's not raised hand is not there now. It's little lower hand.
Sureka,
Yes, madam.
మేడం ప్రమోట్ చేశాను మేడం, ఒకసారి చూడమనండి సార్ని.
sir, if you see, sir, you will also include. Sir is not visible to me. Naveen, sir.
Yes, madam. Sir came, madam. You can start the session.
Okay.
Yes,
Sir,
madam.
sir. Yeah. Welcome, sir.
All the participants, sorry for the delay, and we can start now. Sorry for we faced some technical problem, and we can start our session. Madam, you can take over.
Yeah. Just yeah. Sir, first sharing the screen. Just Naveen, you take it.
Okay,
Later
madam.
on we can give
Just
this-
start your screen sharing, madam.
Okay.
If you start your screen sharing, it will be disabled. Sir's
Okay.
screen sharing will be disabled.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then I'm not
Yes.
unable to see VC, sir. Naveen? Hello?
Yes, madam.
I'm
You can
unable.
start, madam. Sir yes came. VC sir has came, but he didn't started his video.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Okay, then.
He's there.
Then okay, then I have shared the screen now. Then who are doing operating that one? Oh, sir. Hi, sir. Hi. Okay, sir. Shall we start the session? Is it okay, sir? Sir, is it okay and comfortable? Okay, then we can
Yes,
start.
madam. I hope everything is fine. We can start
Okay.
now.
Yeah. Okay, then. Thank you. So, okay. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Arogya Rakshak Pharma Series 2, an international webinar with the main concept of regenerate the pharma births or pharma minds in this pandemic situation. So here the main theme, as we kept, as interaction with the experts. This is a common platform where you can interact with our experts.
Excuse me, madam.
Huh.
You didn't started sharing your screen, madam.
Yeah, I will start now. I'll start now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, then. Okay, is it okay? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Here. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Arogya Rakshak Pharma Series 2, international webinar, an interaction with the expert poll, which is organized by Coringa College of Pharmacy. And this is a common platform where everyone can share, and everyone, whatever the queries you can ask, you can share with the experts, and you can learn more from the experts. It's great to see you all. Thank you for participating in this webinar. You can surely achieve a tremendous knowledge. I would like to invite, this is day 1 session. Yeah, today is the first day of our webinar session. And the first day, as I told you, that Naveen, it's not, why unnecessary you are keeping like this? It is better to do, only I told you, no, only screen has to be visible when I am introducing all the invitees. Okay. Is it possible like that? Naveen? Okay. Is it possible? Okay. Here, I like to invite and introduce our eminent experts in our academic profession, one after the other. Dr. M. Ramalinga Raju, sir. He is the Honorable Vice Chancellor of JNTU Kakinada. He received his BTech in EEE from JNTU College of Engineering Kakinada, MTech in Electrical Mechanics and Industrial Drives from the Regional Engineering College, Warangal, and PhD in Energy Management, Conservation, and Auditing from the JNTU, Hyderabad. He is alumnus of JNTU College of Engineering, Kakinada. He started his teaching career as an assistant professor in electrical and electronics in JNTU, Kakinada. Later, he promoted to associate professor and then professor. He served for JNTU College of Engineering, Kakinada, in various capacities like chairman, board of studies, head of the department, vice principal, and held additional responsibilities as campus project engineer and deputy warden, etc. Dr. M.R. Raju served the JNTU in various capacities as Director of Foreign University Relations and Director of Admissions. He visited foreign countries like Bhutan, UAE, Oman, USA, Nepal, Sri Lanka, etc. for the promotion of NRI, PIO, FN student enrollment. During his tenure as DFUR, the first batch students transferred to Blekinge Institute of Technology, Sweden, and Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, under international collaborative programs. In addition to that, he held other responsibilities like chairman of Board of Studies and member of EEE JNTU, Staff Solution Committee member for CAS promotions, and member of AICT and UGC committees, etc. Dr. M.R. Raju is a member of Executive Council, Standing Council Committee of Academic Senate, Research Review Committee, Inspection Committee for the Research Centers of JNTU Kakinada, convener of Fact-Finding Committee for the Affiliation Colleges of JNTUK, member of Governing Council and Academic Senate for the various affiliated colleges of JNTUK. Dr. M.R. Raju has 30 years of teaching experience, and he has supervised many postgraduate and PhD students. He has many publications of various national and international publications. His area of interest are energy management, conservation, auditing, power electronics, and distributed generation power utility system. Welcome, sir. We are very honored to be with us. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce our eminent personality globally, who is none other than Professor Mahendra Patel, sir. Professor Mahendra Patel is a senior academic and pharmacist of national and international profile. Currently, he is a honorary visiting professor at the University of Bradford, UK. The main interest focus on improving the health within the Black Asian minority ethnic communities and deprived communities, as well as medicine adherence. Mahendra Patel, sir, continues to serve for many years as a highly committed elected member of English Pharmacy Board, treasurer for the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, and his outstanding work with the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence culminated in him being the first pharmacist to be appointed Fellow of NICE. He also received the Royal Pharmaceutical Society President Award and Charter Award for his outstanding contributions to the pharmacy profession in UK. His far-reaching work with the university and the pharmacy profession in India lead to him to become the first fellow of Indian Pharmaceutical Association from Europe. Mahendra Patel received many accolades and awards nationally and internationally, and is a visiting professor at the University Malaysia and Penang, Malaysia, and adjunct professor in Wilkes University in USA. He is also international honorary ambassador for the International Pharmacy Profession of Lebanon. He also the first pharmacist to be awarded the British Association of Indian Physician Award, BAPIO, for his outstanding work and contributions of BAPIO nationally and internationally. We are very grateful to have you here, sir. Welcome, sir. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite and introduce most of the pharmaceutics, otherwise our pharma, but students' favorite, sir. He is none other than Professor Roop Kishan, sir. Roop Kekar, sir, we are familiarly used your name as Roop Kekar. And he is a renowned academician and research scientist. He served various administrative and academic positions for more than 35 years at Jamia Hamdard in the capacities of Dean and HOD, Faculty of Pharmacy, Dean Students Welfare Placement Officer, Proctor of the Jamia Hamdard University. Presently, Professor Kar is a principal at BS Anangapuria Institute of Pharmacy, Alampur, Faridabad. He serves in advisory capacity in many of the institutes and universities. He is the director of leading pharma manufacturing company, Unicure India Limited, and executive director of consultancy company, Formulator Concept Limited. He is a chairman of Good Society of Clinical Research. He has been a member of Unani Pharmacopoeia Committee from 2008 to 2011 and is a member of Parliamentary Committee on Fixed Dose Combinations of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Received Lifetime Achievement Award from IPA in 2008. And he supervised so many PhDs, 80 PhDs and 200 MPharm theses and published more than 300 research papers in international and national journals with a cumulative impact factor of more than 450 and H index of 57, I index of 154, citations of 14,114. Dr. Kar is an inventor of US and 15 Indian patents, 2 US and 15 Indian patents. He has published 11 textbooks, including 14 revised edition of Leon Blackman textbook of industrial pharmacy and introduction to novel drug delivery system. All these textbooks which we, especially pharmaceutics people going through in the PG level, are written by Roop K. Kar, sir. Thank you, sir. We are welcoming you for this session. I would like to invite all the experts to lead the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Bhavani Garu.
Okay. Naveen, you can do. Sir, Mahendra, sir, you can from you, sir.
So you have my slides.
Yeah. We can.
Shall I start?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be taking this platform and sharing some of the learnings and experiences that we have from a UK perspective, but also from a wider perspective, and how it may and could relate to some of India's positive action in the crusade to tackle the COVID-19 virus. So thank you, Koringa College, the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ramlinga Raju, and also to Dr. Bhavani, who I've said has done an excellent job in getting everything together, and the hard work that you're putting in, and to all your faculty, staff, and colleagues. And it's an honor and a pleasure. So just to give you a little bit of background as to where I'm coming from. My involvement is largely around, in a sense, it doesn't really, I haven't seen it happen in India much, but I'm all for working multidisciplinary. And I sit on the panel with the British Physicians of Indian Origin, which is a 60,000 members in the UK. And then there is a Global Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. And so these are physicians, and I don't see why pharmacists cannot work with physicians, nurses, allied healthcare professionals. We have to make a joined up approach. Working in compartments, in silos, is not the way forward in delivering the best healthcare. So through some of my work with the physicians on a national and international platform, I then became their lead from a pharmacy perspective recently, and also I have presented at their national and international conferences, both in Delhi and Nagpur, and obviously in London here as well. So that's the physician aspect. My other role is just to give you a little bit of an introduction to add on to, so that you get a remit of where I'm coming from. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence is a body called NICE that is appointed by the government here in the UK, independent body, to look at evidence-based practice and how it can deliver trusted, reliable resources and information so that the patients are ultimately getting the best value, but in the safest manner possible. And I became the first fellow of NICE in, I think, 2010-11. But NICE is an international, globally recognized platform. Some audiences may, viewers here may not have heard of NICE, but you just need to Google NICE and the prestige that has. The point I'm trying to make here is that we have to, and NICE is, when I started, is largely involved the medical profession at a very high level in terms of its direction of travel. But since the past 10 years, we have started to embrace the wider healthcare team and colleagues. So that's breaking down the barriers. And I think there's an opportunity. What I feel when I presented in India in Nagpur at the Global Physicians Conference, and I was a panel member at some of their talks as well, that these are just physicians in India. Where is the pharmacist? Where are the nurses? Why do you not join the dots up? And these are something that will take place in the next events following COVID, really. So this is a new step, new change, and we have to move with the modern times. Then my own involvement with the pharmacy profession as an academic, as a pharmacist. I still work on the front line. It's important that as one of the members at the national level for my professional body, the leadership body of pharmacy, the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, whose patron is Her Majesty the Queen, it is important that we know what's going on, not just sitting in our ivory towers, but what's happening at grassroots level. And it's all right saying, giving instructions and directions and steering the program forward for the profession from the top, but not knowing what's going on at the grassroots level then makes it slightly difficult or different and less acceptable. So I still work on the front line where I can. I've still been on the front line during the COVID pandemic as well, because that intelligence and knowledge is then taken back to my board at national level. So we can say these are, and all my colleagues on the board, we continue to shape the direction of travel for the profession. And then as an academic, that brings that learning and sharing that learning at an early stage as well. So that's important. And my various other activities that Dr. Bhavani has sort of alluded to earlier on. So I was thinking today would be a good opportunity to share what the problem is in the UK, and can we take any learnings from that to translate into India. Perhaps India's learning could be taken to UK as well. So it's not just unilateral, it's two-way process. Because COVID pandemic is new. We are all continuously learning. I've just come off a webinar now in Delhi that I was presenting at, and the evidence is still very poor, and because it's so new and so much in its infancy stages. I think it's like this association that we have today. Through this COVID, there has been some positives, some wider collaboration, and it brings opportunities with it as well. So I will share some of my experience and knowledge as to what we have, but I will talk about the issue in the UK, how the pharmacy profession has helped, from a national perspective, from a GB-wide perspective, help the members and the pharmacy workforce as a whole coping with the COVID pandemic at a time when we have been inundated with demands, inquiries, concerns, etc. And then I will talk a little bit about some of the resources that's been provided. And then I will also talk, move on to perhaps scientists that we have at the college, at Karinga, and wider for the university perspective, may want to become affiliated to the Royal Pharmaceutical Society as international members, to be able to access some of the resources in part of, in either their practice or to teach for teaching requirements. And then I also want to talk a little bit about antimicrobial resistance and where we stand in India from that perspective, which is a global problem, as we all know. So, taking the coronavirus, I'm talking 4 weeks ago now. So today is 6th of June, and I'll give you the statistics of the UK. You have to bear in mind that UK is, I'm a Gujarati, I'm passionate about my Indian culture. Whilst I'm born in the UK, I am as much Gujarati and Indian as you can think of, really. So, and I think whilst I've given and contributed to shape the profession and in the UK for so many years, being an academic for nearly 30 years now, and supervising PhDs, postgraduates, developing research, and being on a platform at a national and international level, having visiting professors position in Malaysia and in the USA, in Wilkes, Pennsylvania. I think it's time that I...
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for interruption. You can share the screen, sir. I think we are not able to see any slides from your side.
We originally did share it, no?
So meanwhile, madam has shared her screen. That's why you need to share it again, sir. Yes, sir, now we can see. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You can see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. You can
So
continue
it's
the
fine.
session.
It's fine anyway. So so these are my details if anybody wants to contact me on social media. But yeah, so in particular, I want to give back to India. As many people of Indian origin have gone away to USA, Australia, Canada, UK, Europe, to give back to India in the same manner, whilst I've got the energy, whilst I've got the time, and that's what I'm doing. So through that, I then received, I was the first to receive international fellowship from the Indian Pharmaceutical Association in, I think, December of 2019. So I thought I'd give you a case about the coronavirus in 4 weeks ago in the UK. Bearing in mind, UK is no bigger than the state of Gujarat, where I come from. But we can't compare one country with another because every country has its different dynamics, different demographics, different operabilities, different functions, different beliefs, different resources. And I see all these figures, but all you're doing is looking at figures, but you can't compare because it's not the same in another country. We have all variations in terms of delivery, output, understanding. So 4 weeks ago, we had 28,000 people who died from the coronavirus, with 190,000 cases confirmed at the time. As of the 1st of June, that increased to 10,000 deaths, with 276,000 cases confirmed. And I think the trend I'm trying to make is, whilst we have a very concentrated state, the United Kingdom, the growth of coronavirus has been rapid and profound in terms of its impact, to the point where we had the highest rate around the back end of April, and that was deemed to be the highest almost at one point in Europe, overtaking Italy, which was obviously renowned to be very high from the very beginning. And is it the action? There is no point talking about the past, so we just have to move on with the future. But was it the action was not early enough? And can we learn from that? And was the measures in place not effective enough? And was the messaging not appropriate to meet the different needs of the different people? So this was saying that the UK death toll was overtaking Italy as one of the worst in Europe. But one of the problems that we have is, and this is the key factor that we've seen in the UK. So people from a minority ethnic background, that is me, Indian, South Asian origin, people from a minority ethnic background have the highest rate of COVID-19 and highest death rates. This is disproportionate to the national average. So the last census showed that we are 12% of the minority ethnic group represent the diaspora of the UK population. Since then, the census figures do show that it's gone to 15%. And the BAME group means the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic group. Even if it's 16%, we are talking people from a BAME group are in some groups 4.3 times more likely to die from coronavirus 19 compared to my white counterpart in this country. So these are disproportionate. These are horrific inequalities that we are talking about. Some of the methods that we've been using, and I'll go back to the inequalities in health in a while, but I'm just giving you a flavor of what this and let me just explain what BAME means. So that's the Black and Asian minority. So that's Asian, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi people who are here, and Black, African Caribbean population that are here as well. So what we developed a few months that we trialed was a tracing app to how we can look at key workers who are frontline people in the crusade against coronavirus and how we can protect them. So we produced an app by the National Health Service, the government health service that we have here, and we called it, and it's the test, the tracing, and the tracking. We test the people who have had it, we trace who they've been in contact with, and we track those people to see if they've been affected, and if so, we put the measures in for isolation. So this is how it works from that perspective. So it's a Bluetooth system on your mobile phone, and it's something that people download the app, and it records when two people have the app are within 2 meters, 6 feet of each other for more than 15 minutes. And if then one reports of having the symptoms of coronavirus, all the other app users that they've been in significant contact with over the few days would be alerted through a message. And then they would be told if they're presenting the symptoms to be isolated. So this is the test, trace, and track adoption that we're using now. The other problem that I want to plant a seed in people's head is, and I'd like to know what people on the panel, esteemed colleagues and listeners, think is we have been so engaged with COVID. Do we think that we've looked after our other conditions where people are suffering from in terms of mental health, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, all those things, stroke? Have we managed that effectively under the COVID climate? Or have we been too scared in going out and thinking, I don't want to go because the doctors may not be available, I may get COVID, and all those? We are at the fear of that. We have had lockdown here for a good part of 13 weeks now. We're talking about easing lockdown. Initially, we had a flurry of activity at the doctors, at the pharmacies, at the hospitals, in terms of everybody getting in to get their things sorted, get their medication, their prescriptions, and then sort of the doctor's visits, the referral to urgent and emergency care started dying down. What we don't want as we move into easing of lockdown is that these people suddenly bring back a huge burden of health demands because their blood pressure has not been controlled, because their blood glucose is up and down and not being managed, and they've gone into various, causing themselves lots of problems themselves, really. So these are things we are talking about, being proactive rather than reactive, and making sure that we are able to keep ahead of the curve, as they say. This is something that has been in the doctor's front line and appeared on many of the government websites and the public news. A GP is a doctor, general practitioner, and the urgent cancer referral rates have declined by more than 70% as fewer patients come forward. What I'm worried about, and I would like to know what it's like in India from that perspective as well, particularly in the cities, where inner cities, the access to healthcare is slightly different, which is understandable because of resources, knowledge levels, transport, etc. But in the cities, what is happening? Are they going to see their doctors? Are they going to see their other condition that they normally have? Are they having, what happens? You may have blood in your stool or your urine, and you think, no, I'll leave it until the COVID pandemic passes. How do you know that's not an early sign of cancer? So what we've found is that cancer referral rates have been reduced by 70%. The question I ask, and the question I ask nationally here as well, as along with my colleagues, what is happening to those patients? 70% fall in referral rates for cancer. Does it mean that these people are festering that disease, and by the time they come forward, it's too far down the line to give a positive intervention? I'm only planting the seed. This is to make you think. If you have people around you, your families, your friends, please raise the awareness that do not neglect your current condition that you may have. You may have a sudden chest pain, but you may think, I'll leave it. And that could develop into an a heart attack. Or it could be that you're suddenly getting some kind of paralysis in your jaw or your neck, and you feel weak, and is it the sign of a stroke that you're having and you've not looked at it? So I think these are all things that we need to be mindful of. I mentioned that the Black and minority ethnic group have got the highest risk in terms of mortality and morbidity. But it's also, I'm still trying to look for the figures for care homes in India, and I couldn't find it. Perhaps you may be able to share this after our presentation. But we have a high rate of incidence and mortality in our care homes in the UK, which is where the elderly people are involved. This is an example that a doctor calls for action after 125 of her care home patients died of COVID-19. Again, these are the sort of problems that we're facing. We cannot accept these deaths. We should be ahead of the curve. We should be thinking what is happening to our elderly and vulnerable patients. We should be looking at our deprived communities and what are the steps in there. So we're now looking and putting ways for proper funding of care homes, the support and the care and the care workers as well. Care workers go from one home to the other home to the other home. Look how exposed and at high risk they are at, and what protection is there for them and for them to spread it to other people as well. This is a multicolored face of people who are dying. This is unacceptable. We have the highest number of people from a minority ethnic group who are dying from COVID-19 that are working within the health sector. You can see from the graph here, if you move to the right of the graph, the highest number of people are Indian, Black African, Caribbean, and other ethnic groups, compared to the white group on the left. These are inequalities that we cannot accept. And we are working heavily in terms of addressing those inequalities. So on May the 5th, Oxford University produced evidence and looking at evidence as to are the population that increase vulnerability from COVID-19 and what are the causative factors? One of the things that we have to remember as scientists as well, that causation and correlation does not mean causation. So you may see an association, but it does not mean to say that I am of Indian origin, so I'm going to get COVID more quickly than my white part. What it does mean is, if I do get COVID, I am added into that batch of people where there's a lot more people in the Asian minority group that have got COVID, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Black. The reasons for this, there is still not enough evidence. And I keep saying this, COVID is a new animal, a new beast. It's a pandemic. It's not like your flu virus. We don't know enough about it. And, you know, if you, esteemed colleagues on the panel as well, it was only a few months ago when we didn't know what COVID was. And look where we are today. It's killing thousands of people. So how can we suddenly produce an intervention and prevention program within a matter of weeks, months, that's effective and safe? And I would like to ask that question as well. So the factors that we've seen that's common is that people from low socioeconomic background, meaning people from deprived communities, not so well off, not so literate, are affected. People in multi-family, multi-generational households. As you know, it's Indian culture that we stay with our parents, we stay with our foreparents, you know, and having those, it doesn't happen everywhere because we're now living in a Western society, a culture where people do stay and move away due to jobs, etc., and live on their own. But we still have that traditional value where we can, living together where we can. So if I had my parents, I would be coming home, I would be on the front line. How do I know I'm not going to infect them? How do I know if I do, they're going to take the social distancing measures seriously? It's actually making that happen. And it's even more difficult, I assume in India, because of particularly in the remote areas, and because of the understanding. And isn't this a role where we can engage with communities and have a real mission in terms of getting the wider workforce together and targeting the communities where they're most needed? We also found that people in the lower paid bands, so, you know, people like drivers, people like hospital janitors, cleaners, bus drivers, delivery men, all those people are constantly on the front. But in parts of the UK, these were jobs occupied by the Black and Asian minority group. So perhaps that had something to do with it in terms of higher incidence and prevalence of COVID-19 and its effect. We also have a higher prevalence and rate of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, renal kidney disease. These multimorbidities have caused, there is an association that people who are obese, there is a higher tendency of COVID being found within those people. So all these always showing is the correlation rather than the causation. And then we produced the fact that we started to prioritize some of our people in terms of testing, because we want to protect those most at risk. So one of the areas in the southwest of the country, Somerset National Health Hospital Trust, made it clear that face mask testing was key for people of our ethnic origin. And then you can see here the inequalities in health that I talk about. COVID-19 patients are 10 years younger in our Asian minority ethnic group compared to the white counterpart. So these are stark effects. And we have to question also genetics. But then I always argue that why isn't India's rate going through the roof with such a large population? And yes, India have done excellent in containing it, but with one of the largest populations on the globe, if it was that people of Indian origin are higher risk from a genetic viewpoint, then in India we would have seen much higher figures, perhaps. But the evidence has to be out there. And lots of people are trying to look at what is affecting this situation really. So the government, we had to put enough pressure on. And again, this is almost nearly 10 months into the pandemic. We've had to accept these variations and these higher death rates before we've had the government have really made some investigation into why this is. Why is it happening within this group of people? And the review was only published on the 2nd of June, which clearly states that the pandemic, coronavirus 19, and the disproportionately higher numbers of people from Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and the African Caribbean continent who have been affected is not acceptable, and it has increased the health inequalities for this country. If you look at the statistics for America, then within the Black population is 3 times greater in some parts as well where they've been affected. So what is it? And can we share that learning? Is it a behavioral thing? Is it an attitude thing? Is it a cultural thing? We all know, we always, even as a Hindu, I feel some people will believe, oh, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's God's will. And so therefore you carry on spreading that risk. So all these things, gathering the intelligence, will perhaps help us make a little bit more aware of what's going on. Obviously, we've had the measures in terms of social distancing, the public place of gathering, the worshipping, all that has stopped. But again, in households, we've still seen the social distancing is not there. In community, even celebrating some of the festive events from a religious perspective, people still gather around. But the issue is they may be fine contracting coronavirus, but it's who they're going to spread that virus to that becomes an important issue. And what about their family and their nearest and dearest loved ones? So I mentioned the fact that low-paid workers, hypertension, these are all factors that are linked, but are not yet proven to be causative. And I'd like to ask the question about mental health. During the coronavirus 19, we've had it in India because I watch India closely, even from a distance. But in the UK, people that have been affected have lost their loved ones. The social distancing has meant that a family member may not be able to see their parent who may have passed away during the last rites and the rituals that we have for burial and cremation. What happens there? And it's that trauma and the impact of actually grieving on your own that's going to leave a long-term permanent damage, stain, memory on the lives of people within the household. How are we going to tackle that mental health issue? Are we going to suddenly get an avalanche of problems regarding mental health? And it's important that we are proactive and perhaps have measures in place to do that. At the moment, people who are isolating, they don't need to lose anybody, but the isolation guidance recommendations are such that somebody like myself, if I have to isolate, then I'll go crazy in my own house. Then am I going to do something silly? Am I going to resort to drugs? Am I going to go into domestic violence? Am I going to do this? All those things are now on the rise. How does it fit in with India is something that I want to look at properly. I think it's also important to remember that the workforce that we have, and being a pharmacist, being a national, international figure, and pushing pharmacy profession forward and the workforce as far as I can, along with my colleagues, then who is looking after the mental health status of the pharmacy workforce as well? So we managed to, through the lobbying, managed to get the same support for mental health with a hotline through the government support service, which has been provided for doctors and nurses, and pharmacists are part of that hotline. These are the deaths you can see. Whilst they've been falling in hospitals, they've been rising in care homes. So why have we not been prepared earlier? Why are we being reactive? And are we still going to be reactive in view of the thoughts that I've mentioned in terms of what is going to be left behind? Diabetes, cardiovascular disease, strokes, cancer, mental health. Remember, COVID is not everything. The world still continues to go round. Health problems are not going to stop just because we have COVID. What are we doing about that? So this is just a brief outline of what we at the Royal Pharmaceutical Society have done over the COVID pandemic period. I'm not trying to sell anything, I'm trying to showcase, which is important, that the professional body that I belong to, I have to be proud of. And only 3 weeks ago, the Queen, who has been very silent and reserved during the COVID pandemic, and not outward facing, came out 3 weeks ago praising the work of the pharmacy profession in the coronavirus pandemic. Because of the support, the resources, the tool, the information that it's been providing to the workforce. You have to remember, as we all know around the panel as well, esteemed colleagues, but listeners and viewers as well, coronavirus You can see from the Indian government, you can see from the UK government, you can see from a global perspective, all America, the instructions and the guidance and the information that we get every day has been changing for the past 12, 13, 14 weeks. How do you keep up with that? And it's through that guidance that we've stepped up our game in supporting our membership, our pharmacists wider really, through providing appropriate resources, tools, information to make them confident, to make them competent, and to make them safe in giving the best possible care for the patients, but ultimately to making sure that the patients are safe as well. And these are just some of the, I'll just whiz through this. You can go through, you can go through the Royal Pharmaceutical Society website and go through on the COVID folder. You can see, and I'm not surprised that Queen has actually it's very rare for the Queen to do this. And I'm not just saying this because it's a rarity. Because she has to stay neutral as much as being the global platform that she sits on from a Commonwealth perspective as well. But for her to praise us over, when you've got all the other healthcare bodies as well, it is incredible. And what have we done? We've produced guidance to support our staff. We've produced advice on isolation for the patients. We've campaigned, we've worked with the government, we've pushed things forward in many ways. It's an easy access system. We've done videos and podcasts that we continuously update as the information and as the data and the guidance has to change according to the government's requirements. Keeping up with that has been amazing. And what the profession has done and the professional body has to be. We've used social media to connect everywhere, to work with our doctor colleagues, our nurses, our healthcare professionals, our patient groups. We've supported people because the examination program, as you know, from a faculty perspective, we've had to stop examinations. So we've done them remotely. But what about those people that are qualifying and graduating and going to register for their exams, for becoming pharmacists this year? Does it mean they stop? So we've provided support for those people as well, from early years into mid-careers, into post-career. What about, because we've had a workforce shortage, how do we make sure that there's enough staff in the pool to cope with the COVID pandemic? So it may mean that as an academic pharmacist, for example, going out on the front line, I am fine. But you may have an academic pharmacist who has not been out on the front line. How do you make them competent and equipped to go onto the front line with safety, with confidence, and with the competence levels so that the patient's safety is not ever compromised? These are little packages and resources that we put together to support our pharmacists become confident, but also to increase that workforce that we have. What about in the pharmacies and in the hospitals? You don't have the social distancing. People are queuing up. People are going in. So we produce posters, posters from the professional body to go out to every pharmacy in the UK for them to access. And also, we've had our pharmacy workforce being abused, with verbal abuse, being shouted at, being physically abused, threatened, and even spitting. We've had colleagues being spit at, saying, if you don't supply, I will spit at you, threatening of coronavirus. How do we protect our workforce? So we then produce posters to publicize, to campaign, put out on the pharmacies, please be patient. This is an abnormal situation. It's not something that is unprecedented. We are doing whatever we can to support our patients, providing the services, and we understand your needs. The mental health and well-being program that we've managed to put in, we've also put some guidance on you know, the medicines shortage, because there's been a big impact on demand for medicine. So suddenly there may be a shortage. So what happens if you don't get your medicine? You may be thinking, well, what's going to happen now? And I'm going to panic and I'm going to die on this. So again, we may need to use some of our ethical decision making, that whilst a doctor issues a prescription, we'll give you the medication before that. Obviously in the UK, we are very strictly controlled how we supply medicine without a prescription for prescription medicine unless there's a need. So we've made some of those and supported people from that perspective. People moving from different sectors. It could be that a pharmacy staff could be working the diabetes ward and suddenly has to go into the surgical ward. How do we know they're competent? Because surgical ward is where all the action was happening as well. How do we know that's effective? How do they know they're competent? So we provided the resource and tools so that they feel competent in that. We've had people that have been retired. We've had people who've been on maternity leave and then continue to stay off after. How do we know they're adequately equipped to deal and bring them onto the front line? These are sort of things that we've done. I won't go through a lot of this to take time, but again, this is just some of the things that we've put forward in supporting pharmacy up and down the country in various grades over the corona pandemic. If you look at the visa extension for pharmacists, so we have overseas pharmacists coming through. So we as a professional body have been fighting what happens to our pharmacists. How are they're not going to be able to work. That's what the regulation means. Your visa is expired, you can't work. So we've lobbied that and we've managed to work through and get extensions for that with the government. We've tried to look at the regulation regarding controlled drugs and how we can support that, and how the strict guidance behind that maybe need to be looked at, particularly around this coronavirus. We've taken care of pharmacists and families who have died. We've continued to reach out to them to support their families as well during this period, and we produce a remembering service through our platforms. We've also been able to, at the moment, nurses and doctors were the only people who used to be awarded death in service, what we call. But we've now, by pushing our pharmacy profession and lobbying and having that presence, we've now had pharmacy profession included in that death in service benefit, where pharmacists, if they've been affected and lost somebody by working on the front line, will also have government benefit for their family, just like the doctors and the nurses. This is the huge way that we've moved forward. These are just some of the things that we've done over the past few weeks and months. And my message is we must capitalize on our learning for our future strategy. COVID is here now. It will die away in time. How long, we don't know. But let's take some of that learning. Let's build this partnership that we have today between us as well and share that wider and develop it and make it stronger. And how can we make business as usual, BAU, as we go towards business as usual and easing of lockdown? So there are lots of opportunities. Testing through pharmacy is a particular aspect that we want to push forward for. In the UK, pharmacists are able to engage in a vaccination program where they deliver the flu vaccines. So can we do something to train people up to vaccinate? So we, alongside doctors and nurses, we vaccinate during the flu season. So when the vaccination comes out for coronavirus 19, is this a space where pharmacy has a model in enabling wider platform of vaccination to be carried out, and therefore increase that prevention strategy that we have from a global perspective? You can see that we need the upskilling is essential, and that's where the professional body comes and how we can support that through the resources. But without the appropriate upskilling, we can't do that. And the multidisciplinary working, which I mentioned earlier on, is a huge opportunity. Please use this. I don't see it in India, I'm sorry. This is not a criticism, but it's okay saying, look, one of my biggest thing is, and I remember when Neil Armstrong, I was a very, very little boy who was the first man to walk on the moon. Then 50 years prior to that, if somebody had said man will walk on the moon, you will say, oh, the man's an idiot. He's an idiot. Who's saying man can walk on the moon? Yet the Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. So today that's just history. So don't ever think things can't happen. I think things can happen. You need the right team around you. You need the belief around you. And you need the infrastructure and resources to be able to work from that in making it happen nationally and internationally and sharing that learning for the benefit. So as I said earlier on, is you can become members, even as scientists for the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, and you can access some of the resources from a teaching perspective as well to share for the students and for faculty staff. And you also get the post-nominals of AR PharmS, which is the associate member of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, as part of your qualification or recognition. And it'll be great. And the bottom website is for the joining instructions if you did want to do that. And it's simple. You put your name in, your details, put a payment, you see, put where your qualification are, and it'll open up. And I think we've talked about this in terms of, well, probably not here, but the other colleges for faculty staff to be able to use some of the resources from that perspective. So as our own champion and hero, Virat Kohli may say, let's keep going together. And in our case for pharmacy, let's make it for better health for all. And thank you from that perspective. One of the things that I want to just quickly add, if I may, is antibiotic resistance. And the antibiotic resistance issue is, I just want to pause 1 minute because I'll put the slide up if I may. Am I okay to do that? I will just pause for 1 minute, please, because I'll try and get you the right slide so you know. I'm sorry, I thought I had it on here. Right. Now, this is the antibiotic resistance campaign. I don't know if you are aware, so I'll give you a little bit of history on this. Antimicrobial resistance is a global problem. How can we address this global problem? India has a big part to play in this. And this is where my Indian hat comes in and my Indian allegiance comes in. So when I got my international fellowship from the Indian Pharmaceutical Association earlier in the year, the first to be awarded that, which was a real honor, I wanted to use the platform of the IPA and the Global Physicians of Indian Origin to address the issues around antimicrobial resistance. In 2016, the Department of Health in the UK produced an antibiotic guardian program. And from that, it was trying to meet the objectives of the World Health Organization in reducing and tackling and raising the awareness of antimicrobial resistance. They had a program called Antibiotic Guardians. And this is showcasing to people, raising the awareness, and you can do it at the university. raising the awareness of the dangers of antibiotics, overuse of antibiotics, the inappropriate use of antibiotics, and the ineffective use of antibiotics. I have been to India. Every time I go, I walk into the pharmacy and I just pretend I have diarrhea, and I'm given a host of antibiotics. There is no questions asked. Have I got any conditions, etc.? What is it? How long have you had it for? How badly is it? It's just straight to the antibiotic. That is an overusage, unnecessary and inappropriate use. That has to stop. And with the Pharmacy Council of India, the PCI, it has to be something that we impregnate into curricula early stage to share that learning. So once these people qualify, they understand the unnecessary use. The other problem with antibiotic is we've got coronavirus 19. And if secondary infections occur and where antibiotic treatment may be necessary, the antibiotic due to resistance may not work. And somebody may die as a result of that. Why do we want to do that? So I started on my mission. In 2016, this program was developed. In 2020, from a global perspective, in 2020, India had 216 antibiotic guardians. 2016 to 2020. When I presented this platform in, I'm trying to forget now, January 2020 or February when I was there. After that, the number of antibiotic guardians that we have in India is 2,500. So from 2016 to 2020, we had 230 something. In a matter of weeks, I managed to raise that to 2,500 antibiotic guardians. I'm asking you to raise the number of antibiotic guardians in India. Let's make India the global champions in the fight against antibiotic resistance. And let's make India have the highest number of antibiotic guardians in the world. And we could get to 10,000 figures. That is my target. As you can see, I've already raised it to 2,500. This is pre-pandemic. So this is since my presentation in January. I'm sharing my hand, stretching my hand out, share to as many people as you can. It doesn't cost any money. It takes 2 minutes to look at the message and you make a pledge and you actually put hashtag India and have a look at it. Hashtag, I put it on, I'll share the wider thing, but it has to come from hashtag India. But I think the hashtag is Bugbeat India, Bugbeat India IPA, Bugbeat India IPA, all one word. And you make a pledge. Overusage of antibiotics can be dangerous. Not completing the whole course of antibiotics can be dangerous. Just making these simple pledges, you download a certificate like these two.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Sir, we have done these things and other speakers are also waiting, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So there is the guideline, so you can, and that will tell you how many we have moving forward. So, but if you download the certificate, it's not just looking at it, it then registers and Google Analytics, and that will give, I'm hoping World Health Organization will invest money into India in how we can take that program wider forward. So that was my last slide. Anyway, so thank you very much, and there are my contact details.
Sir, sir. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Very good afternoon to all of you. After a very, very wonderful lecture by Professor Patel, and he has given us some very useful information, and particularly which is relevant to Britain. And one or two things which were very significant is about the black group and BAME, that they have 12 to 16% of more deaths as compared to the white population. And we don't have such type of a concrete study in India, but I think it needs to be looked into. Well, with that, very Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. M. Ramalinga Raju Garu, Professor Mahendra Patel, University of Bradford, Professor B. Bhavani, Principal of Koringa College of Pharmacy, the staff members and the students from different institutions attending this webinar. I wish to compliment and congratulate the Koringa College of Pharmacy and JNTU for providing this excellent platform for the students and the experts to exchange their knowledge. I will go in a different mode, I am wanting to talk from the Indian perspective, particularly from the Indian pharmacy student perspective, because I think our audience are teachers who are either M.Pharm, PhD, or they are some M.Pharm students. We want to tell them some very, very basic things about COVID-19 and what we should do. Well, briefly telling you that COVID virus treatment possibilities we'll talk. What are the various angles? What are the various approaches from the pharmaceutical standpoint? How we can treat it, and what is the situation in India with respect to that? Well, we all know the virus. This virus belongs to a family of known viruses: SARS, MERS, and influenza. Hence, it is known as SARS-CoV-2. I am bringing and going from the base because so that I want every student to perhaps coordinate with all of us. COVID-19 pandemic caused very, very unavoidable lockdown, deaths, and economic slowdown at the global level. And we have to fight back this enemy. And in doing so, we need to know the enemy, which we don't know. In order to fight a particular strategy, we have to know what is this enemy. As far as we know, and Dr. Patel has said, we don't know much about it. At least what we know, we'll try to protect ourselves and devise a strategy so that we'll be able to protect our population. As we know all that this COVID-19 is characterized by messenger RNA, which is surrounded by a spike of glycoprotein, giving it a crown shape, and that is why it is a novel type of a coronavirus, and it originated from Wuhan, China, as all of us know. Now, what happens when this virus gets access to our body? What is already known is that this virus will interact with angiostensin converting enzyme 2 receptor. This is the basic finding. That means it's a very important receptor. Once it binds to this receptor and it has a high affinity to this receptor, it can enter the cells. Very simple thing. Once it enters the cells, it is followed by very quick replication. And how does this replication take place? It takes place by RNA dependent, what we call as RNA polymerases. They cause inflammatory changes, and the extent of inflammatory changes that take place is the damage which is caused to the patient. There's a release of cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha and many, many others. So on this basis, we assume that it's going to attack and bind a particular very, very important receptor, that is angiostensin converting enzyme 2. Now, there are three categories of cases in India and elsewhere too. First and the foremost is the severe case. And in this case, there's a damage to the lungs, which is going to lead to pneumonia and death. It is caused due to the granulocyte colony growth factor. And for such patients, they need hospitalization, they need oxygen support, and they need a ventilator. This is one category of patients. Then second category is the mild cases. So that is those cases which have a better immunity, younger people whose immunity is not compromised. So it progresses in them very slowly, and they can be treated. And they don't progress. They don't cause pneumonia in such patients. And the last case, which is more important for us now at this stage after 3-4 months after going through this COVID-19, that is the asymptomatic case. These are people who are infected, there are no symptoms, and they become carriers and they spread the infection. So we are concerned about them. So all these 3 different levels of patients are there present in India. So everybody is telling us we should care about our immunity. As all of us know, immunity is either natural or acquired. Even natural immunity can be compromised due to various diseases, due to various diabetes, due to other diseases, as Sir has said, or acquired immunity for which we do not have any prophylactic vaccine at present. Is going to take some more time. Only preclinical stage studies are over in some cases, while as clinical permissions are yet to be taken place. So let us now see what are the therapeutic possibilities at present at the global level. Now that means first and the foremost approach is to curtail the entry of the virus into our body. This is the first and the foremost, by maintaining good hygiene, by maintaining personal hygiene, social distancing, use of masks, everything what has been said, and it's already on the social media. So what we try our best to do is we ensure that the virus, if it is in your proximity, you don't know that, it does not gain access to various portals of entry, and mainly the nasal portal, ocular portal, or oral portal. You have to protect them, guard them with a lot of high security by different measures. They say in our country, they say cleanliness is next to godliness. So cleanliness and personal hygiene will certainly play a very, very important role in the initial stages. Then the second approach what we are following is that we inhibit the binding of this COVID virus with the receptors like ACE2. If we can inhibit the binding to the receptor, then we'll be able to curtail the disease progression. At least it will be reduced. It may not be eliminated. That is why you have seen that we give drugs like chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, and tocilizumab. These are the 3 drugs which are used, which follow this principle. And hydroxychloroquine, Government of India has in fact exported to countries like US and many other countries which demand it, because this is the mechanism, this is the first line approach or first probability, or how you can curtail the progression and the access of the drug into your body through ACE2 receptor. Second approach would be you obstruct the enzyme polymerases, which increase the replication of this virus in our body. I told you there are various RNA polymerases. They are the key enzymes which make viral replication. And some drugs which are used or can be used is remdesivir, which is developed by Gilead, G-I-L-E-A-D, Gilead Sciences UK, and its generic version is likely to be produced in India. And we are told that this drug is going to be sold at rupees 1,000 per dose, and it will be given by intravenous infusion. So these are the two main direct approaches by which we can curtail the progression of the COVID-19 virus. Third approach is which is used is that by we produce the antibodies to ACE2 receptor so that it is not available to the COVID-19 virus. Well, these are scientific approaches, there could be different theories and all that. Now for this, one drug which has been developed by a company in Japan. The company is known as Inland Company. The name of the drug is Chemistat. It is at the experimental stages, at a very advanced experimental stages. So these three approaches are direct approaches by which COVID-19 effect, entry into the body, replication into the body, and then access into the body directly can be curtailed by these three different types of drugs. Then there is another approach, we all use protease inhibitors as various different types of antiretroviral drugs. And similarly, this virus will also need to process some critical proteins for its survival. And we have few protease inhibitors whose safety profile is established and known. And these can be used. You see, every patient is different. I think, a clinical situation is different. So maybe some drugs work here, some drugs work there. A clinician is the best person to know and understand what is possible and what is not possible. Now, the drugs which are already available under the antiretroviral carry is liliopinavir and ritonavir. They are used for this particular pandemic situation. Then another category of drugs which can be used, because I know some patients develop some coronary thrombosis or they damage their lungs and the stroke takes place. Because of COVID-19 has a tendency to cause clotting. I know recently one of the pharmacy students in Delhi who was living in Jamia Hamdard, she died of COVID-19 due to this situation, because there were some complications in her blood and she died only yesterday. So for such patients, we can use anticoagulants whose safety is already established, which are well known, like clopidogrel is useful and it is used for this purpose. Similarly, now we in India are talking about plant flavonoids. There is already another Ayurvedic Ayush ministry is coming up Ayurvedic treatment. I think the concept is mainly the concept is a use of various flavonoids, particularly like say we can use imodine and veritol. I think these, they are polyphenols and they are found in red wine. They can inhibit the binding of the virus to the ACE2 receptor. Well, they may not be so effective, but they will definitely be able to change the reduce the advancement of the disease. So what we have understood that we have prospective drugs, we have repurposed drugs, and we have other types of drugs which can be used for this. So in nutshell and in brief, we have drugs which can curtail the entry of the virus to the ACE2 receptors. We have the drugs which will inhibit the binding of the virus to the ACE2 receptors. We have the drugs which can obstruct the enzyme polymerases which replicate the virus. We have the drugs as antibodies to ACE2 receptor so that the COVID-19 receptor, COVID-19 virus does not have access to its main target place. Then we have protease inhibitors, have said, and then we have anticoagulants or plant flavonoids. I think this is a very, very brief sort of approach, which we should know as students, we should know as pharmacists. You come across some drug, you should know what this drug is doing, how this drug is effective, and so that we'll be able to share the information, read about it from the website, and be able to be a good pharmacist and be able to useful to the society. Then second important aspect which I would like to discuss, because of the COVID situation, because of this outbreak, there is a great impact on education and training in our country. It's not only pharmaceutical sciences, overall, even schools, colleges, lower education, higher education, it has impacted. So we all have to change the process of teaching and learning, or we have to make changes and adjustments with the pedagogy as to how we can reach the students at least for some more time. As we see so far, nothing is very clear, but it is very sure we have to continue the online mode of teaching and learning, and also for conducting examinations for next 5 to 6 months, maybe down the year up to November, December. So we have various challenges in India. I think in the West, people are already much used to online mode, but here in India, people have started learning and using this online mode of teaching and learning, even in schools, and it is quite successful. It's quite successful. So we have to consider the lockdown situation and make it into an opportunity. And that is what this Koringa College of Pharmacy has done. They are using this opportunity and making this online teaching process and learning process to the students and teachers useful. So don't make students dull, learn the new things and do old pending stuff. And this is the right time to do the old pending stuff. I think everybody, every one of us has very many weaknesses. It has very many strengths. This is the time to weaken your weaknesses and to study and to find out how you can use this time so that it will be useful to you in long time to come in future. So this is the first challenge. How do you use the time in the lockdown period? You have to find out yourself, discover yourself, know yourself, and be able to understand how do I go. And the second challenge is what I feel that we feel we have nothing to do. So when there's an infection, we prepare ourselves. Similarly, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to do something so that we have to behave like our own body. And you should spend this time, this genuine time for your professional and personal development. I'll pick up some issues later after 5 minutes. So challenge 3 is we feel what is the status of the examinations, how the examinations will be conducted. I think the Pharmacy Council of India, the University Grants Commission, and other authorities have come up with various schemes, and we are able to conduct online examinations. And there will be, we have to, in fact, we have to use this lockdown period as a bridge to push towards the reach. Use it as a lockdown, as a bridge to go to the reach. It's not far away. We have to live in this lockdown. We have to live in this, as Dr. Mahendra has said, that this is going to be there for quite some time. We have to live in this situation, but we have to know how to live and how to face it. And I tell my students and teachers, you have to improve your digital knowledge. Friends, we are poor, students are poor. I have learned so many things in last 3 months, and we are always on meetings in Zoom, whether it's academic meeting, administrative meeting, we have to learn it. Similarly, I think you need to upgrade your knowledge through various web portals. There are so many. There are online learning portals available in our country, like ePathshala of University Grants Commission, Swayam, Diksha, Shogun, Udemy, UDEMY, Khan Academy, many more. What I want to convey that you need to be online and know how to continuously educate yourself, how to upgrade yourself. If because of the online teaching, if there are some gaps which are remaining, those gaps have to be filled by online learning methods. Then lastly, so you have to learn beyond books. Do what you want to do. Get a step forward and love the new you. Discover the new you and love the new you. You have to be a completely different person when you join your college or a school after 2 or 3 months. There are some tips for students. If I have just a couple of minutes more, 4 or 5 minutes, I want to tell them few things which is very important from the global perspective. My dear friends, as I told you already, you need to keep yourself updated and abreast with the new development. Knowledge is dynamic. What I told you today about the COVID virus may be old tomorrow, after 3 days, after 1 month. You have to know the new things. You have to make an effort. You have to make a self-effort, what we call in Sanskrit, udhaimu bhairva. So you have to leave from your comfort zone. You have to read. You have to listen. You have to express yourself in different ways. This is very important. Then, secondly, I want to tell you, friends, this is the right time to discover your potential. There are hidden talents lying in you, and they are dormant in you. There's an intrinsic potential in you. You have a lot of time available with you at your disposal at home, and you will be able to sharpen your talents, and you can do certain things even at home. I'm very sure. If you believe me, even at this stage and age, I am telling you, I get up in the morning at 5:30. I have no time till about 11 o'clock. Friends, I'm telling you frankly, so many things to do. Similarly, everybody can use his time, every minute, every hour, so that you can improve yourself, improve your quality, improve your talents, improve your skills. Friends, there is no place for mediocrity in this world. You have to be above average. You have to move on the journey of excellence, and you have to follow the principle of Kaizen. As you know, it is a continuous improvement of present self to the former self. You have to improve yourself by whatever means you think and whatever strategy it is possible. Then lastly, you see, developing and gaining knowledge base is very important. There is a lot of information available, but what is very essential, students and teachers, we have to have a very strong foundation of basic concepts which we lack. Our students in India lack in basic concepts. We forget that all what we are talking is available. We have to understand, we have to contemplate, and we have to develop and be very thorough with the basic concepts in the knowledge body. The knowledge body is mandatory for you. You cannot go ahead. And you have to also have experimental skills and minor and major skills. Then another important perspective which becomes in the current age is you have to develop life skills, which is very important, and the right attitude in order to be successful. If you take some outstanding pharmaceutical personalities, take an example of Mahendra Patel. He is an outstanding pharmaceutical personality at the global level now. You ask him what are his assets. Knowledge body is all right. He has knowledge body. That is mandatory. He cannot move without the knowledge. But there are other life skills which are important, which every one of us has to develop, like say self-awareness, critical thinking, creative thinking, what we call as in Sanskrit, spirit of inquiry is very essential. Decision making, problem solving, effective communication. there are 3 dimensions to communication. You need to have expression skills, perception skills, and observation skills. It is the whole body of communication skills. It's very important. I know many Indians are having very difficulty in this aspect, so they get difficulty in development and growth. Then interpersonal skills are very important. The sir talked about interdisciplinary approach, entirely different. So we'll all have to work together in a team, as the pharmacists, as teachers, to grow and to find new vistas and to understand whole thing. So maybe in the initial years, 5 years of your career, your knowledge base is there, you will grow. But ultimately, that will have only 20% weightage. What will matter? 80% is your life skills, because knowledge will grow automatically. So friends, learn to harness, learn to improve your skills from this day, learn to develop positive attitude and grow in your career. I just want to end with one last maxim, which was said very rightly earlier. They say, work more, think much, and talk less. Work more, पुरुषार्थ, काम ज्यादा करना, think much, this we do very less, spirit of inquiry is very less, and talk less. We talk more, do less. So all this, with these words, I thank Koringa College of Pharmacy and the Vice Chancellor and the Principal of the college and all the other experts and all those in the audience for listening to us very patiently. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, RVC, sir.
Honorable members, Dr. Mahendra Patel, University of Bradford, UK, and Professor Roop Krishan Kher from Faridabad, Head Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi. Very dynamic, enthusiastic principal, Professor Bhavani, and my dear students. Very good evening to all of you. First of all, I'm congratulating Professor Bhavani for arranging this wonderful webinar, which is very much useful for the pharmacy students, in particular from the JNUK University, I can say. So I'm really grateful and honored to associate with the great academicians like Professor Mahendra Patel, Professor Roop Kishan Kher, who are very much experienced and knowledgeable in pharmacy education, as well as in the industry, I can say. So, though I am a different from pharmacy profession, I can realize the importance of the pharmacy and the role of pharmacists in the present COVID-19 pandemic situation. So the world is looking at the pharmacy industry and the pharmacists for finding a vaccination and medicines and to curb the COVID-19 pandemic. In this context, I can say that the globe, you can say the whole mankind is disturbed totally. There is no socializing, there is no travel, no tourism, and no refreshing for the mankind. So we are simply in lockdown, means we are unable to reach the world in physical form. So that is the state of the situation prevailed across the world. So we are unable to reach the people, contact in physical form. So there is a lot of stress, anxiety among the people. So if we come across the academic area, like our education system, in Indian education system in particular. So when I want to talk with regard to the education system, briefly, I would like to share about my university. So my university is JNTUK, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Kakinada. It started as a college in 1946, as College of Engineering, Kakinada. During Second World War time, 1946 in Kakinada it started. Then in 1972, it has become a Christian College of Engineering for JNTU, Hyderabad. So in 1972, a university was formed as JNTU. There, this Kakinada College has become the Constant College. And later in 2008, this college has become the university as JNTU Kakinada. So at present, now there are two JNTUs in the state of Andhra Pradesh. One is JNTU Kakinada and the other one is JNTU Anantapur. So under JNTU Kakinada, we are having affiliated colleges for 8 districts. Now, there are total 13 districts in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Out of 13 districts, 8 districts are under JNTU Kakinada and remaining 5 under JNTU Anantapur. So in this JNTU jurisdiction, we are having about 250 colleges, affiliated colleges of engineering, pharmacy, and management, and about 250,000 students pursuing their undergraduation as well as post-graduation in engineering, pharmacy, and management courses. So there are a lot of issues which the university is facing during this COVID-19 pandemic. Like I can say that so there are issues like the conducting of classwork for the students who are under lockdown. So since they have disturbed in the middle of the semesters, and there we need to find out a way out to complete their syllabus. So for that also we are making use of online classes. Through online classes we are able to complete the classwork, but unable to finish or complete the laboratory works. So that is a big challenge for the pharmacy as well as engineering students who are pursuing their career in professional courses. So that is a big challenge. Still, the universities like UGC, AICTE is working out what to do with regard to the laboratories and the practical aspects of the curriculum and the examinations. Like examinations, how to conduct the examinations. That is also a big challenge, as our professor Khair mentioned about the way out to get the degrees by the students from this during this pandemic period. So that is also not yet has taken a good shape to conduct examinations at appropriate times. Still, we are working out. The universities are working out. The government is also working out. All statutory bodies like UGC, AICTE are working on that mode of conduct of examinations. And the other aspect is awarding of degrees. How to award the degrees once the online examinations are conducted? Like how they will be taken into consideration when with the offline examinations, which they have so far attended for the previous academic years. Likewise, there are issues how to award degrees for the outgoing students and promotion policies. There are still promotion policies existing with regard to the number of credits the students have to score for promotion into their next higher academic classes. So there are the issues, but there are slightly the users has given guidelines, so simply not to insist on the requirements of the credits. Simply they can be allowed to the next higher class. That is also a good solution, but still there are issues like for their further promotion. into the next academic year, higher classes. So I can say that overall, this is the scenario which the universities and the education sector is facing in this pandemic situation, and the employment opportunities for the final year students, especially those who have got selections through the campus selections. They are simply finding out how to get their degrees and how to join into their new careers. That is a big challenge for the universities to facilitate the students to pursue their higher studies and joining their careers into the employment, respective employment opportunities. So that is a big challenge, and still we are negotiating the industry people as well as the government how to work out a plan for the students to accommodate or to get into their careers comfortably. And so this is with regard to the student community, and with regard to the functioning of the universities, functioning of the colleges. And earlier we used to conduct the procedures, the offline procedures. Now we are forced to take up the online procedures like e-office. So there is no alternative. Simply the conducting of meetings also we are making use of the Zoom, go to Meet and like Microsoft Teams. We are making use of these digital platforms for the office, the functioning, as well as the conducting the classes for the students. And one more big challenge the universities and the educational establishments are facing is the hostels. In the hostels, majority, I think, from the affiliated colleges as well as from the government colleges, most of the colleges have provided the quarantine centers for the COVID-19 patients. So there we have offered our hostels for quarantine centers. That is a all the hostels have been taken over by the government for the patients. So this is a big task or a challenge before the administration. If we open the universities after COVID-19 lockdown, how to prepare the students and their parents comfortable as well as not a scary situation. That is a big challenge. So there are so many inquiries. How you will open the college or university for the students when there are so many issues pending with regard to this COVID-19 protocols. So it is a big challenge for the, especially from the university side, to answer the students as well as the parents with regard to this COVID-19 pandemic problem. And so it is, I think I can say it is the order of the day to live with COVID-19 just as our process Khair and Professor Patel mentioned. Here they have given a lot of information and knowledge with regard to how to live with the present situation. So we have to make use of the facilities and make use of the technologies and make use of the knowledge, information to be safe, how to be safe and how to be healthy and how to protect ourselves from this pandemic virus. So I can say that this is a platform which has given very good insight into the present situation and the frightening situation, I can say, which has given a scope for the students to think about, to enrich their knowledge, to make use of this lockdown period, and also to have knowledge and to have the more information, like more technologies which are not aware of aware by the students earlier. Now we are forced to know the things. So that is why we should not feel disturbed, or we should not feel badly affected with this COVID-19. We should feel that we are some way helped in getting our knowledge enriched in the other way. So I thank the organizers, the Koringa College of Pharmacy and the administration, and the principal, Professor Bhavani, and my panelists, Professor Kher and Professor Patel, for this wonderful webinar, and giving me this opportunity to participate as a small person who is not that much knowledgeable in pharmacy. But I was just mentioned, I was included with the help of Professor Bhavani, stating that just your presence is required, like that she mentioned, and I accepted. This is new for me to associate with the pharmacy people first time. So I thank the one and all, and I pray God for a healthy and safe world, for the early relief from the COVID-19 at the earliest possible. Jai Hind. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. This is Karakaraju Korangi. This is Karakaraju Korangi College of Pharmacy Secretary, sir. First of all, I thankful to the VC who come and give the present situation of university examination system and campus placement and everything. All the students benefited. They have so many doubts. Here clearly give the idea, and according to that only the students prepare. Sir, thank you very much, sir. And thanks to the Mahendra Patil sir and Kishan sir, because they are a wonderful professor, legends in the pharmacy profession, sir. They are giving full information. So this full expertise, a single word, sir: think globally, act locally. That's true. I can say all the students and the participants, think globally, because we know about the globally, but we must act locally, because it is very helpful to all the participants who are in the webinar. It is definitely we have global knowledge and local knowledge, and as well as the students and the staff who have so many doubts. In this seminar, definitely with the experts of this, all experts, they can clarify their doubts, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now I over to the madam.
Good evening, sir. I am Nagmani, Director of Koringa College of Pharmacy and Secretary, Adarsh College of Pharmacy, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening, sir.
Very nice evening. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Patil sir and Roop sir, and Ramling sir, sir. It's very glad for us for participating in this webinar, and we gained a lot of knowledge by your presentations. And sir told that Mahendra Patil sir, he is the board member of RPS, Royal Pharmaceutical Society, which is working very well done, and it's very useful for the pharmacy students as well as all the society people in a good manner, and how the Black Asian minority ethnic group is suffering there in UK, and how they are prone to the morbidity rather than the white people in the UK, and the present scenario of the COVID-19 in UK situations, and what are the backlogs in India, also said by the Patil sir, and the Antibiotic Guardian, an association, is a very well organization, and we must aware of that, not to take the antibiotics unnecessarily, because the resistance of the bacteria will increase and it may causes several morbidities in the society. So first of all, we know about this antibiotics reactions and the proper usage of these antibiotics is necessary for all the people. It's a very good organization. Sir, we are already pledged our farms to this society, sir. Already in our college, our all students and staff members and our management also pledge for this antibiotic guardian, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your beautiful presentation. Wonderful information given by you. And Roop, sir, you are an author of so many books. It's very, very, very glad for us for meeting you in this type of webinar. And we will utilize all your services in our organization. And the present COVID-19 virus, what type of virus it is and how it is attacking our human bodies, and what are the ways in by which receptor it is acting, and what are the different methods for this curtailing the drugs, curtailing this virus, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine and remdesivir. That type of drugs, how they are using nowadays, is very well explained. And the different Ayurvedic medicines, Imodium polyphenols, and in what way the blocks the ACE2 receptors, and the uses of this Ayurvedic medicine is also well explained, sir. And how this COVID-19 impact is on education system. Even though this drastic condition, this pandemic condition, the education is not stopped, sir. The digitalization of the teaching learning process is going on, sir. Our VC sir is the first person in our AP who introduced this digital education through online classes. Whenever our Ramalingiraju sir told that the digital education we implemented in our institute as well, and the process is going on, and all the syllabuses were completed in time, and we are ready for the examinations. Our students are very well prepared for the examinations, and thank you very much, sir, Honorable VC sir, for this precaution you have taken for this digitalization of the classes. And for improving the knowledge through the digital media, you have given some sites, sir, Roop sir, ePathshala, Swayam Shiksha, and Udemy, the apps which are useful for the students and the staff, sir. And learning the life skills is more important in the life, you said. It is exactly true, sir. Work more, think much, talk less. This is the success secret. So definitely we will follow and we will guide the students also as like that. Thank you very much, sir, for giving the wonderful speech. And once again, we will utilize your knowledge. Sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, sir. Sir, Ramalingiraju sir, sir, you are a smooth, calm, and commendable administrator. You are running the institute, university in a smooth manner and in a sparkling way, sir. In this pandemic situation also, you are instructed all the colleges for the digitalization of the classrooms, and that motivation leads us to this webinar, sir.
Thank you, madam. With all your support, madam, we are doing.
Your motivation, sir. These webinars are conducting, and we are guiding our principal ma'am and all the staff members to encourage this type of teaching learning, sir. Sir, you must always give us the guidance, sir. We will follow your guidelines, sir.
Yeah, certainly, madam. Shortly, we are going to give.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us, for attending so much of time with us and waiting for your turn. And thank you very much, sir, for being with us.
Welcome,
thank you for your beautiful presentation.
Sir, thank you to all experts who are coming to this school, sir. It is very useful. All the staff, students who are participating in this webinar, sir. It is also live telecast in YouTube, sir. So thousands of people will be benefit, sir. Thank you very much, sir. All the experts who are participating in the webinar, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, from the university side, we are very much thankful to Professor Kher and Professor Patel ji, sir.
Okay, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
And one more important,
Sir,
one more important information, sir, I would like to share with you all. Professor Bhavani is our executive council member. Being to Kakinada.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But some of the questions are posed by the students. Main interaction with the expert pool is main benefit with responding their questions. I would like you to be. Sureka, just ask the questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Achha, there are some
Sir,
questions.
can we have some queries now, sir? Sir, now the question is for Dr. Mahendra Patel, sir. Sir, someone is asking that in hot summer, the temperature of the virus is around 40 degrees. So the temperature is around 40 degrees. So the virus is unable to die. But now the coming days, it's rainy session. In that session, how the virus will act. That means whatever the action of the virus in this cooling temperature.
So you are breaking up. Thank you very much. Can you just, you're talking, is the climate now you're coming into rainy season, will that affect COVID-19 more? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are breaking up. The spread of COVID-19 is, as you know, the transmission is not an airborne virus. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we are hearing.
It's not an airborne virus. So again, it is something within close proximity. How you put, so because it's not airborne, it's not going to really make that much difference from that perspective. So we have to look at how the transmission process is. But what I do say, and coming back to Professor Dr. Roop as well, is
I think you have said it, but there were some notions earlier on. Everybody was saying, you look at, you wait for the summer. Now, I don't think that holds true. You are very right. It's not airborne, and it is a contagious disease. It's seriously a contagious disease, and we have to have a high security mechanism to our portals of entry. That's all. By hygiene, by cleanliness, and by knowing asymptomatic carriers. In India now at this stage, I find some cases which have been going on now recently. They are all through asymptomatic people, the maids coming in, some workers coming in, and you don't know, you talk to them very nicely, but you should know your distance, you should know the touch, you should know how this virus can go into your body. You have to be informed about it. That is why I said pharmacists should know what is happening so that they can inform the society, educate the society as to how do you wash hands. We did one exercise here. We conducted one program from Indian Pharmaceutical Association. Sir, incidentally, I am also the fellow of Indian Pharmaceutical Association, Dr. Patel. We are co-brothers in that way. So we these are small dates because people are illiterate. People are not educated. They don't know. They don't maintain distance. Many places. And if you throw these temples and mosques open and other congregations open, it's going to be a hell of it. I don't know, because in your countries, I have some friends living in Sweden or in UK. You see, your population is not that concentrated. Here, you throw a stone, there will be so many people. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful now. For next 2 to 3 months, we have to be very, very careful. Very scared as well and careful. Yeah. Sir.
I think, can I just add, Professor Dr. Rupi, you mentioned a good point. I think perhaps we can look at an innovative program working with the PCI, the Pharmacy Council of India as well, and the IPA. But the community pharmacy has a huge role to play. And we have to remember, community pharmacy is not a shop which sells medicine. Pharmacy is a professional body. So therefore, let's use it in terms of giving out some of those professional messages, engaging with the communities. And just like you said, I would like to ask the question. Perhaps you could share all your
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
But the question I would really like to ask everybody here is, how many people really wash their hands properly? Simple message. Are they just going like this and then think that's it? You know, and this is, you laugh, but what about the people in the rural areas? And what
Yes,
simple message could have a huge impact in the transmission of the
Yes,
virus.
sir, you have hit the nail. You have hit the nail. You have hit the nail. That is it. You know, people don't wash hands before COVID also, sir. There are a large population. You forget about COVID. I have seen people many times going to the toilet and coming out and not washing hands. I have seen it. I don't mean to criticize, you know, it is only illiteracy. It is only ignorance. But now we cannot live with this ignorance. Since we are pharmacists, you know, as you have said, you know, sir, Prime Minister in one speech said in Mann Ki Baat that India is a world leader in pharmacy. He did not mean only in industrial pharmacy. And you know, pharmacy cadre as a healthcare cadre is the largest number in our country. We have not been able to harness it. We have not been able to join it with a healthcare team. I think it's going on at the professional level. I liked your idea, sir. You said in due course of time, let vaccination and let also the testing kit facilities would be done at the retail store. Isn't it? You said that is the outcome, you know. After 3 months when the vaccination is there, and if you want to test somebody, why not a retail pharmacist engage there, you know? They have started doing this activity. We are on the job, sir, to integrate the healthcare and to inform the pharmacists. That is why through these students, teachers, we want to reach the community level. We want to reach the rural pockets, you know, where they should understand how to go about, you know. Simple washing, that's all. Simple cleanliness, that's all. Which portals of entry have to be guarded, you know. What will happen even if you come into contact with somebody, but then if you are cautious, you will protect yourself. That's what I think, you know.
Well, it's absolutely right.
That's it, Dr. Mahinder. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. I just feel I would just like to see what people think, but I watch people even here. But when I was in India, I know, I mean, I suppose sometimes the poverty and things can also play a part. But washing hands means simply putting your hand underneath the tap water and letting the water run. As you know, the coronavirus is not stable in soapy environments. That will break down the
exactly. That is the point. Yeah.
Just a simple. I think if we focus on one message and we make a change from that message, that enough could make a huge difference in a country the size of India. Washing the hands properly. Washing the hands is not enough. It's the 20 seconds with soap and getting there. And that's where, so when people say I went out yesterday, but I came in and washed my hands. So it makes a big difference. I think but let's use pharmacy to give that message out. Let's use the universities to promote that through the
take the slogan.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, someone is asking what is the role of pharmacist to educate the people in this COVID-19 situation?
We are talking about it already. I think, Dr. Mahinder Patel and myself, we are saying that pharmacist can, first of all, read more literature about this COVID-19 virus. He should know more about these different drugs. He should keep himself updated with the knowledge what is going on. Then, foremost and the most important, what is the prophylaxis? How do you prevent an infection? That is very, very, very important. I will make you a very personal observation. My mother, she passed away recently, hardly 4 months back. I taught her at that time. There was no COVID. I mean, I used to go to bathroom. I taught her how to wash hands. I'm just giving you my personal example, I mean, how to wash hands from inside, from outside, and how much time and all that, this is very important to know. And what towel you are using, are you using your own towel or somebody else's towel, or you are using no towel, or you are using a tissue paper. All these things can matter for transmission. How to wash hands, your personal clothes, your laundry. There is, because this virus gets stuck up with the surface, if somebody with a COVID-19 sits on a chair and then you sit on a chair, it is possible you are carrying that microorganism. That's it. So all these things, because our role is that to say how to prevent infection, how to prevent the excess of virus into your own body. How to do that? What are the means? How to stop that excess? It's a high security mechanism of your body, which you have to understand and educate the illiterate in very simple terms. You have to make them understand in very, very simple language, local language, so that they can understand how. Because if you put them into fear, oh, look here, if you don't wash hands, this can happen. They will certainly start washing hands. You see, our Prime Minister started that Swasth Bharat Abhiyan long back before this COVID came. So we have to learn to be clean. We have to improve our hygiene. Everybody has to. That's what pharmacists can do.
Thank you, sir. Someone is want to talk with you, sir. So I'll let them to talk with you, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, sir. Thank you. Khalil, you can unmute your call and you can talk with the speakers.
Hello?
Yeah, you can
Hello,
talk with the
yes, you are audible.
What are the drugs that we use to treat COVID-19, sir?
Come again. What are they?
What is the prophylaxis and the treatment that are used for the drugs to treat COVID-19?
I think I mentioned you some drugs. You see, there is no specific drug at present which can be used. In due course of time, it is only a vaccine which can be curative, and that is going to take some time. And research centers, which are, most of it is preclinical stage.
What, sir?
Animal stage, it be compound. Hello.
Now you're audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. You can speak.
Yes. I think I told the students that we have a certain, as far as the actual drug is concerned, which is going to treat the disease, there is no drug. All the drugs which I have said, they will help you to some extent, 20%, 30%, but ultimately the main effect, 80%, is that you have to stop the excess of the virus into your body through various portals of entry and through infection modes, by touch, by through clothes, through furniture, through all these things. That is why there are different guidelines at global level, at international level, at Indian level. They all are telling you as to how you should protect yourself. Hygiene, cleanliness. I think we should pay more attention to that. Otherwise, there are drugs like, as I told you, this chloroquine, hydrochloroquine, they are not, you see, drugs which would just, you take a tablet and you are all right. It's not like that. Every patient is different, because I classified patients into 3 categories: severe patient, mild patient, and asymptomatic patient. It depends where you are. The drug to be given to any patient is different. Depends on, you are lucky, you might have that symptom which can be treated by chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, or you can be treated by remdesivir, or you can be treated by ritonavir. It depends on your status of infection. It depends on your immunity level. It depends also on if you are not immune compromised, which means if you are not diabetic, if you are not senior citizen, all these things, everything matters. Everything matters.
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Patel, do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I think thank you very much, but I didn't want to talk over you. It's a good question, but I still feel, coming as a scientist, we are scientific based in many ways, but we have to be careful about the noise that we hear outside.
Yeah, not get panicky. Yeah.
And not react to the noise thinking, oh, well, this is going to be the wonder drug and this is going to happen. For many years, we've gone through the process of trials, looking after the safety of patients. How many trials have we had? How many drugs have come onto the market and suddenly have to be withdrawn because of their side effects, because of the long-term effects that it causes? Thalidomide, I go back a long time, thalidomide is a classic case. So we don't want this to happen, really.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is a pandemic. This is not even an epidemic. This is a pandemic. So how we work with that is, a lot of it is a public health message here. The onus and responsibility is on us to be able to maintain and safeguard our own protection and our families, people around us. And from that perspective, there is no other measure than keeping your own safeguard. And I still say, I've questioned this for a long time. The hand washing, perhaps you may want to look at it as an experiment. When you see somebody wash their hands, just watch them. Is there soap being used? Is it for a minimum of 20 seconds? And is it getting to all parts of the hand, the back and the front? And that's all. If you can just change that habit on one person, can you imagine how much transmission you may have stopped? Particularly when the R value goes up if it not goes down. So India is looking on an increase at the moment. As Professor Roop Saab said, it's a very concentrated area. If you look at Delhi, you look at Mumbai, you look at all the big cities, Chennai, it's very, very concentrated. And once you start moving those in hordes, that becomes a real problem. So the only way I would want to think my responsibility would be to look after myself and maintaining that common sense approach until an effective, proven, tested vaccine for prevention and treatment for the virus and its effects is delivered and made available. That is being approved by the government as well.
Government, yeah.
Yeah.
Hope the question session, that means we have answered all the questions. Now I request our principal ma'am to address the session.
I like to thank our professional experts for kindly accepting my request and sharing their experience and knowledge with us, sir. You are visible gods whom we have to identify through progressive time. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the participants.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. God bless you. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you, Andy.
Take care and be safe.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for all of you to participate in this and asking nice questions to our experts. And they have given plenty of time with us. Actually, the time is 2.5 hours. Really, thank you so much, sir, for giving. Thank you very much. Stay safe and healthy and be happy and helpful to everyone, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, madam.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.